Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen and I'm a dyslexic here to help other dyslexics and their parents. I help busy, overwhelmed parents understand their child's frustration with dyslexia so they can support, encourage, and empower their child through life's challenges. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 7 myths followed by the facts of dyslexia. So if you are looking for more information about dyslexia, this video is for you. Let's get into it. There is so much information about dyslexia out there, and some of it is true and some of it is not. And today I really want to dive deep into these 7 myths that a lot of people misunderstand and give you the information that is correct. And if you learn something new today, don't worry about it because some of these I honestly believed myself and I thought it was true until just recently when I learned what the truth was. So if you are learning something new here today, don't worry about it. We are all really truthfully taking a deep dive into what dyslexia is. Myth number 1 is that dyslexia is a vision problem. That is so not true. Dyslexia is not a vision problem. Most of the time people think that dyslexics just see everything backwards. And I can see where, because sometimes we read words backwards, like tap could be read as pat, and I know that I did this growing up. But the truth is, dyslexia is a language-based learning disability. So it's language-based. It is not a vision problem like everybody is saying. Myth number 2 is that dyslexia only affects reading and writing. I wish that were true, but it's not. Dyslexia affects so many things, more things than you realize. It does affect reading, it does affect writing, it affects spelling, and sometimes it even affects math. And sometimes it just affects math, which is a learning disability called dyscalculia. But it also affects our executive functioning skills. So it affects our time management, it affects communication, it affects so many things. Working memory, it affects a lot of our executive functioning. So when you see things and hear things, sometimes as a dyslexic, we don't remember the facts exactly how they were portrayed. And I know that this is part of the disability and that we have to go back and relearn what the truth was because we sometimes interpret it incorrectly. Myth number 3 is dyslexics are not as smart as other people. This one is not true. Dyslexia does not affect intelligence in any way. In fact, most dyslexics have average intelligence, if not above average intelligence. So most of the time we are very, very smart. We just process all this information in a different way because we are taking in most of the information on the right side of the brain compared to most people are taking the information in on the left side of the brain. So we have to do double the work to make the information make sense. And this is where multisensory learning comes into place. And I'm going to go ahead and link the multisensory video for you right here if you would like to check that out. Myth number 4 is if we give a child more time, they will learn how to read or eventually learn how to read. This one is farther from the truth. With a dyslexic, they need early intervention as soon as possible. So waiting to say, okay, next year they're going to learn how to read, we'll just wait, is the worst thing you could do for a dyslexic. The earlier you intervene and get them the direct, explicit instruction they need to learn how to read, the better. And I know for me, this one is so true because my parents couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And it took a while to get everything and to find a tutor. And so I did not start intervention until I was in the third grade, where my sister showed signs of dyslexia. And because she was younger, they intervened at kindergarten. And my sister's dyslexia affects her much less than my dyslexia because she was given the tools early on. And I am going to go ahead and link my Orton-Gillingham videos right here for you so you can check that out, because for dyslexics, one of the best intervention strategies is the Orton-Gillingham research-based intervention strategies, and I have covered that in a video. So if you really want to know the best way to intervene and help a dyslexic learn how to read, then check out Orton-Gillingham. Myth number 5 is dyslexics can't read. It's kind of true in the beginning, but really that is not true at all. Dyslexics, with the research-based intervention strategies, do learn how to read. In fact, they learn how to spell, and some have gone on to be great authors and writers. But without the intervention strategy, it's very hard. But dyslexics can learn how to read, they can learn how to spell, they can learn how to write. We can learn how to do everything. We just have to do it in our own way. Myth number 6 is dyslexia only affects people who speak English or are learning English. This is not true at all. Dyslexia affects every single language. But the one thing that I have seen and I will talk about is that with learning English, because it is made up of so many other languages and there are rules for rules for rules, with the English language, because it's made up of so many, it's easier to find and spot a dyslexic than in other languages. But the dyslexia is still there. It's just like with Spanish, they only have certain irregular words that you can memorize quickly, and you know that those are irregular and they follow their irregular rule. Where in English, there are irregular rules, and then there are rules for those irregular rules. So English is a much more complicated language, and that's why you start to see dyslexia more in this language compared to other languages, but dyslexics are still there and they are in every single language. Myth number 7 is the one that I honestly believed deep down with all of my heart. Myth number 7 is you can grow out of your dyslexia. I so wish it was true, because in my heart of hearts, I really did believe that I was going to grow out of my dyslexia. When I got it through my head that dyslexia only affected me when I was learning in school. And the minute I graduated from college, my dyslexia would just disappear. I honestly believed that. I did. I honestly believed it. And the minute I graduated from college, I did not talk about my dyslexia for years. I didn't acknowledge it. I didn't talk about it. I hid it. I went into the workforce and I never mentioned it. In fact, I didn't mention it for years. And yes, my dyslexia did affect me. It really did. But it affected me in different ways than others. And I also, looking back on it, started to see advantages come through in the business world, where I was able to help companies succeed and simplify processes and programs easier than other people, because I was able to take it and simplify things. And one of my great strengths is taking things and simplifying them and making them work for so many people. And I was able to do that. I had no clue that that was an advantage to being a dyslexic until just recently. And this one was the one that hit home the hardest for me, is when I learned that dyslexia is life long. It affects you your entire life. It will always be there, and it changes as you get older. And so you're constantly learning, you're constantly trying to figure out how the dyslexia is going to affect you. It definitely affects me as an adult differently than it did as a child, but I have come to terms with my dyslexia, and I definitely give myself grace. I give myself grace when I mess up the directions. Still can't tell my left from my right. I give myself grace when I'm literally talking to people and I lose my train of thought. I just kind of explain it and say, it is my dyslexia. This is what it is. And give me a second to get back on track. I give myself grace for that. I give myself grace for a lot of things. And it's become easier to accept my dyslexia because I have learned that I'm not the only one who has it, that there are a lot of people out there, and that there are more advantages to being a dyslexic than there are cons. And that has given me so much strength and courage to step up and start talking about my dyslexia in a way that I never thought I could. I have been so empowered by learning that. And so if you are a parent looking to help your child, one of the best ways to do that is to look into the advantages, because there are so many and they're amazing. And it's kind of hard to see the advantages in the school age, but when you get into the workforce, oh, they take off and they're pretty amazing. And that is one of the best things. So unfortunately, we don't outgrow our dyslexia. It is there our entire lives. But once you realize that and you learn that your dyslexia helps you in ways that you never thought possible, it becomes much easier to accept that you're a dyslexic, and you realize that you're part of a really neat, unique club. And in fact, most dyslexics, once they figure it out, go on to be famous and do amazing things. Half of Hollywood's actors and actresses are dyslexics. Computers were invented by dyslexics. I mean, Apple is one. Microsoft is another dyslexic mind. And not to mention Libel. That also came from a dyslexic mind. So some of these life-changing things that have changed our lives for the better all came from dyslexic minds. And once you start thinking about that, you're just like, wow, that is really awesome. So I hope you realize that some of these myths are there and a lot of people believe them, but they're so not true. And dyslexia can be a really empowering thing to have once you realize all of the advantages and how you as a person can change the world. So I hope you found this video useful. In the next few weeks, I have more information about dyslexia, IEPs, and executive functioning coming out, and I can't wait to share this information with you. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you want more information about dyslexia, more myths, more facts, and some of the advantages, go ahead and grab my freebie. I'm going to link it in the descriptions, and you get 7 different myths, 7 facts, and 9 advantages in it. So it's a great resource to have if you're trying to figure out more information. Go ahead and sign up for that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.